KV. Yeah.
What's up, y'all? It's day 5 now. I totally didn't realize that Numbers was longer than what I did yesterday. So I thought I was done with Numbers, but I've got a little more Numbers to go through. And then a good bit of Deuteronomy today. So it's before church. It's about 10:30. I got a few minutes before I got to head out. So I'm going to read a few chapters of Numbers, try to get through with it. There's no way I finish it right now, but yeah, I'll see y'all later.
Star-studded coupe, like a star-studded race.
So I actually did end up finishing all of Numbers. I had more time than I realized, and Numbers was shorter than I thought at that point. And so we're going to move on to Deuteronomy later. I'm driving to church right now. It's going to be a great time. But yeah, I'll see y'all later to talk about Deuteronomy. I guess I'll talk a little bit about Numbers. The end of Numbers was brief. I don't get why the people of Gad and the people of Reuben don't want to go to the promised land. It's like God has designated this place for you. And despite all of the warning signs before, even Moses talks about the people who gave the fake report about it. It's like, why are you still questioning God's promise for you? I don't know. I just don't understand it.
Done let go of so much in life, ain't come to play it safe. You gotta be uncomfortable, it's a test of your faith.
I read through the first 7 chapters of Deuteronomy, and I cannot focus. So I'm going to go back to it later.
Whether I pass or fail, Jesus love me either way.
All right, I'm about to start reading Deuteronomy. It's currently 9:40. I came up here at 9 o'clock to read. I was on Instagram Reels. They were good. They were funny, but I got to stop. I got to put a time limit or something. It's bad.
You're my star-studded friend, my one and only savior. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life is the creator.
So I just read through Deuteronomy chapter 8 through 32. Some key themes I noticed. God is sovereign, and he chose Israel for no reason other than because he wanted to. He makes it abundantly clear, and we see it, that he did not pick them for their righteousness. He chose them because he loved them. And he has all these commands, and he does all these things for them because he has chosen them to be a holy people. And how similar a story is that for us? God has chosen us not because of what we've done, but because he loved us. And he has set apart a life for us because he has called us to be his children. We live because he calls us his own. Philippians 3 talks about that Christ died so that we can be called his children. And then Paul urges us to live for him in that. And it also reminds me of continually throughout the scripture that in Deuteronomy, God reminds he reminds Israel of what he did for them in Egypt. He reminds them of the battles he won. And that reminded me of Philippians 4:8, where it talks about that God, we should think of the things above. That's something I go to when I'm feeling tempted in certain ways, to think of things above, to remember the life I'm supposed to be living, and not a life for the flesh, but a life in the spirit. God's character is so obvious. God's actions don't always look the exact same in the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? With how it's a theocracy in Israel. It's not a spiritual kingdom like Christ has. So it's a little different, but his heart is still the same. The way he treats Israel is the way he treats us. And his character is just so obvious. His sovereignty is abundant. His holiness is so clear. There's a reason why he's holy, 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 because it's so clear and so obvious. God is sovereign. He's in control. He's in charge. In both Leviticus and Deuteronomy, he is not letting you forget it. He's reminding you throughout the whole time that he is holy. He is sovereign. He is just. He is gracious. He is merciful. He is spending this whole time to remind Israel who he is and that they are not him. But he has now called them to live, to be like him. And that's the same way he does for us. It's an incredible story. Crazy ending of Deuteronomy. And it's not over yet, but the ending of the reading today through chapter 32 Chapter 28 is insane. If you don't understand fear of the Lord, go read chapter 28 of Deuteronomy. You're going to be scared of that dude, because he is... I'm scared calling him that dude. I shouldn't call him... You're going to be scared of God if you read chapter 28. And then chapter 32, Moses writes a song basically talking about the curses Israel's all facing. It's like, that's a sad, depressing song. Then the end's a little bit hopeful. But yeah, I can't say I'm not excited to move past the Pentateuch, and reading all the laws a second time was very fun. But overall, Deuteronomy is an incredible picture of God's heart in the same way the rest of the Pentateuch is.
It's my season for favor. Like a buzz off Nick, I'm loading in a game shaker. Say you beating me, the odds look good for you on paper. But I got a cheat code, and he literally major. Don't need the money, music, not my major. Theater arts is where it starts, been making lots of plays. Yeah, they think I left the scene because I'm in a whole new stage. I just follow the rest.